Hello, this is Ramona Depares from Sigma TV. Joining us today is Farrugia, Chief Executive Officer for Malta Enterprise. He's going to share with us some initiatives and plans that Malta Enterprise are taking, which will definitely impact the iGaming sector. Kurt, thank you so much for agreeing to do this interview.
Thank you, Ramona.
I will get right down to it. So, Malta Enterprise has been at the forefront of attracting new businesses to Malta. Can you tell us what new niches you're exploring?
First of all, the beauty of the Maltese economy is that it's very diversified. So part of our work is to ensure that the business that is in Malta thrives. So we've been working with the manufacturing industry to change and grow, to go more digital, to be more sustainable in its operations, and that is something that is happening right now. Of course, together with that, we've been looking at new sectors in our economy, namely in technology, starting from fintech to regtech to insurtech, and these sectors that are part of the technological advancements that are being made globally. Also, one of the very important niches that we're looking at is medical technology. And medtech needs a whole infrastructure. So it's not just setting up a company in Malta on medtech. You need the notified bodies to certify the products that companies are building from a technological aspect, from a software aspect, from also the device itself, medical device. As well as, of course, sectors such as AI, Internet of Things. Cybersecurity is one very important sector that we've seen growth, and particularly with new startups that have started with a very modest work complement, employment, and are now medium companies within the space of a year and a half, and they're all setting up in Malta. So yes, we're building an ecosystem and new sectors that are in technology, and also ensuring that the current FDI stock that is in Malta is retained and assisted in the best way possible, ideally through expansions to include new technology also in their activities. So for instance, the large manufacturing companies are all looking at automating most of their practices. One thing that we have seen, even because there is an issue that is basically you don't find enough workers to work in our factories and in our companies, is that automation is leading to possibly less employees being employed, but with a different talent pool and different talent skills that companies might need. So we're looking at companies to expand, and also new companies in technology. So we're looking at skills such as software developers, engineers, and other employees with a scientific background. So our vision and our direction is to ensure that whilst we retain the current employment, we also upskill the current workforce. That is being done, of course, by incentivizing companies to upskill their workforce. And we have very good incentives for companies to upskill their workforce, as well as attracting talent from abroad, which sometimes, and we need to be very realistic about it, might be challenging. However, as a country where our lifestyle, the way we live, and the education system, our healthcare system, is very attractive to attract new talent, with all the challenges that will pose for the companies and the families to relocate to Malta.
So in support of this, the fact that we need to attract a workforce to support this ecosystem, you launched a scheme called Digital Nomads, I believe. What can you tell us about it?
That's right. Digital Nomads is not a direct Malta Enterprise scheme. However, we work in tandem with most of the government agencies and directorates, as well as corporations. So Digital Nomad helps us attract talent from different geographical locations, particularly outside of Europe, to come and work from Malta. Together with that, we've been working with the Malta Residence and Visa Agency to develop a startup visa. A startup visa that will allow companies and startups to relocate to Malta, use the facilities that we offer as Malta Enterprise. We have very strong support measures for startups to start their operations in Malta, as well as offer the possibility for companies and startups to relocate their operations, but also relocate themselves as employees, founders, their families to live in Malta. That is something that was announced in this year's budget, actually next year's budget, and it will be implemented in the next few months. We've been working with MRVA, and we're at a very advanced stage to launch this program, which I think will add on something different to the offerings that Malta Enterprise gives through financial and tax incentives.
Okay.
So the possibility to relocate your operations or to start your operations in Malta, benefit from the schemes that we offer as Malta Enterprise, as well as have the opportunity to live in Malta for a number of years that we've been discussing, of course, according to the needs of the residency agency and the country as a jurisdiction. And that is where we stand at the moment. We're looking forward to launch that incentive as well.
As you rightly mentioned, people would wish to relocate with their families, it's kind of a whole package system. So what are the plans towards supporting the whole deal, such as schools for children? I mean, there also needs to be a burst of technology, such as fast internet connectivity. What's the situation there?
I think as a jurisdiction, we're in a very strong position in terms both of connectivity, and we're pretty much one of the jurisdictions with possibly the main internet connections and communication connections that you might find in any developed country, as well as we're building a whole infrastructure to support expats that live in Malta. It's not something new in the sense that over the past years we've seen a large number of expats relocating to Malta without the possibility of, for instance, having a startup visa. And in fact, the expats community has been widely acknowledged, and of course, that presents other challenges for such a small island as Malta. And as you rightly say, education has been one of the issues that we face with our clients. They tell us, yes, we are relocating, but where are we going to find the education for our kids? And that is something that we need to keep working on. Of course, there are new initiatives, such as a new school in Mtarfa, which is an international school, which will offer from the primary, I believe, to MATSAC level, and offer also baccalaureate in primary and through primary and secondary education. So it is something that, as a jurisdiction, we've been evolving into. Of course, there are pressures such as our healthcare system, which is widely acknowledged as one of the best in the world. But yes, we understand that even there, we need to ramp up to ensure that the expats community can avail itself of the best services that we offer in different areas, such as healthcare, such as education, and also access to other services that are on offer in Malta. It is a challenge, but it is also part of the evolution of the island to move towards a community that is first of all mobile, because nowadays you can't tell someone to literally live every day of the year in Malta, because the younger ones, the young families, the talent that we're trying to attract, they're generally mobile.
That's
and
very
they
true.
can be having meetings in London and in Paris or outside of Europe in the same couple of weeks. So that is something that we are looking at, and we also believe that they continue to enhance and help the lifestyle in Malta and also the economy. Because expats that are living in Malta, they rent in Malta, they go to restaurants, they use
Facilities, services, of course.
So that is something that we take into account even when we are evaluating projects that come to Malta. What they will leave in terms of taxation, what they will leave in terms of living in Malta and having their kids, the transfer of knowledge that they will leave in Malta. Those are all things that in our evaluation process we look at from an economic point of view.
If I had to ask you, what is it that makes Malta attractive to these people who want to relocate here? What is it?
Most of the times we think of the most exotic things and try to come up with the best single ideas that would make Malta attractive. But most of the time it's the lifestyle. It's our sun and sea and the way we live here. Of course, there are things that we need to watch out. Our environment is key to keep Malta an attractive destination. Our culture and our heritage are two very important parts of what makes this island so special. Of course, then there are different incentives that we offer as Malta Enterprise and as a jurisdiction. So living in Malta comes with particular benefits, and starting up a company in Malta also has its benefits.
What about the financial benefits?
The financial benefits are part and parcel. However, as the global debate keeps ramping up, there are different competitive advantages that have been very beneficial for the Maltese economy along the years. However, there needs to be a different way of thinking. So, for instance, taxation is a very important benefit for Malta. However, there is a whole international debate on streamlining the taxation systems everywhere. I believe that for one, Malta has a very competitive tax regime, and it's been approved by the European Commission and all. But the discussions at OECD level are being held at on a different level. Now, that will take years. However, from what we've seen, the taxation regime in Malta is not the major attraction to Malta. And I can give you concrete proof. Like companies that are relocating to Malta, they're completely relocating with their founders and top management to Malta and paying actual tax as a local company. And we've seen that trend growing, and it's due to the, first of all, high profitability and high growth that they experience. And secondly, because they feel that they need to contribute and they have to contribute to the island itself and to the jurisdiction itself. So we've seen that sort of consciousness building up throughout the last years. And companies are actually not coming to Malta. It's the last thing they ask, usually, the taxation regime. Of course, it's still attractive, and you find companies that still look at the taxation system as a benefit. But I believe that it's one part of a whole package. And that's where we excel as Malta Enterprise, first of all, because they find it very agile to do business in Malta. In the past couple of months, I was traveling in London, in Turkey, and I was in Vienna, and in different areas. Possibly the thing that attracts these companies to Malta most is the fact that they have access to a corporation and to a government agency such as Malta Enterprise, which then would open doors in different other agencies, government agencies, and the authorities that they would need to set up in Malta. The agility and the way we operate as a jurisdiction, with all its warts, because we need to be realistic about it. However, they find it that it's much easier to do business in Malta than any other place in Europe.
Definitely an asset then. Earlier you mentioned sustainability, and we know that for the international community it definitely is part of the package, a green approach. What is Malta Enterprise doing in terms of this?
I beg to differ that it's not just for the international community. It is surprising that, it is not surprising, in fact, that most of the Maltese companies and locals are looking at a better quality of life.
Which is great news.
That is one of the things that we've set as a vision as Malta Enterprise. We're not just about attracting companies and looking at the GDP figures. We are looking at attracting business and also see that local companies are growing by giving a better quality of life in the different aspects of it. So, for instance, all our support measures and all our schemes have at the core of their evaluation the social and environmental impact of that business. So companies that come with projects that would help the environment in its widest sense, both in the social sense, both in the land and marine environment. Those are projects that we look in a more favorable way, so to speak. And even in our evaluation process, we do give a lot of points in a way to those projects. And we have been also having specific schemes which incentivize companies to change their operations. For instance, in next year's budget, there's a very particular scheme which will help companies to change their fleet to electric cars, electric vehicles.
Okay.
And that is part of how we are looking at business. So it's not just growing and employing more, but also changing
The mindset,
cars,
maybe.
machinery, to be more efficient, both in terms of energy, water consumption. And we really believe that that will help both the business itself to be competitive internationally. Because at times, what happens is when you compete for international tenders and international projects for these companies that are operating from Malta, they need to qualify to certain standards. And we are pushing companies in Malta to qualify to these energy and climate standards that are expected of the blue chip companies that are seeking to obtain services and products from all these companies. So that is where we have been looking consistently for the past couple of years, even when developing our schemes. And in all our schemes, I must say that we give a lot of importance to sustainability. Another and concretely, we have the Smart and Sustainable scheme, which will give up to 50,000 euros to companies, or 50% of the total investment for the smaller to medium companies to change their operations to digital or more sustainable. And we have various other products that would help to enhance the businesses in terms of sustainability and also in terms of digitization of their processes and their business. So that is where we've been directing all our efforts in the past couple of years to ensure that the companies that operate in Malta would add value, not just in terms of growth and employment, but also what they will contribute to the island, as well as the local companies to change their operations to be more sustainable, more digital, and more ready to compete in an international market that is ever more global.
That is certainly great news. On to my last question. Now, I know that Malta Enterprise are not responsible for iGaming, but you do have a lot of initiatives that impact the industry. What can you tell us about any plans related to the sector, basically?
Yes, indeed, we understand that gaming is part of the economic makeup of the island. So first of all, we do service and we do give our incentives to companies that service the industry, software development, anything that is related around the gaming industry can apply for our incentives. On the other hand, one thing that we've been working and focusing on is enhancing the talent pool that is in Malta. So through our various incentives, both on the education aspect, as well as our, I'd say sometimes we focus too much on incentives, but we also have another role that is lobbying, so to speak, in government to ensure that the education system is directed towards the right kind of talent that the companies that are relocating to Malta or even growing in Malta would be able to find the employees that they need. So basically, we've been working hard with our university and with MCAST to ensure that we support those institutions and research institutions to direct their students to the right industries and to the right sectors that would help them find a job in the sectors that we're creating. So in terms of research and development, it's something that I believe we need to ramp up as an island. And we've been supporting the university to work with different companies that are operating from Malta. And also part of our incentives would give an even better marking to companies that seek to partner with research institutions, both in Malta and also international. But once you get an international institution to work, research institution, to work with a company that is operating from Malta, usually they do attract particular knowledge and also seek to transfer that knowledge to local employees and also to local researchers. So that is how we are trying to enhance the business community also by making sure that our education system and our research institutions are aligned with the current realities in the market.
Makes a lot of sense. It's good to know that so many things are cooking on the landscape. Thank you so much for this interview. Thank you for following Sigma TV. Do let us know what you think in the comments and stay tuned.